Hello everyone and welcome to It Goes Off. It's ticket off time where we have a look at some of the major issues going on around the iiNet NBL. And this week, Grant Lee Bernard is again on assignment. We've got a very, very special guest, superstar, and I believe captain of the Wollongong Hawks, Oscar Forman. Hi Oscar.
How you doing?
Must be really excited the way the Wollongong Hawks season's unfolded so far.
Yeah, absolutely. 7-1. Can't ask for anything more. I mean, at the start of the season, after having a subpar last year, it's great for us to be up there again.
And is there an element of surprise also amongst the group? I know everyone goes into the season with great expectations, but on the back of what you had last season and the fact that you really only changed your two imports, did you think that you'd be 7-1 at this stage of the season?
You're always confident you're going to win the games. And with our pre-season, we thought we were doing well and we knew we were held in good stead, and we bring back the core group of guys. We thought we'd have a good season, but I guess you're never going to think you're going to be 7-1 after 8 games. You'll take anything, any wins you get, of course, but we felt we prepared well and bringing in two imports that really complement the group. And, obviously in the fourth quarter helped carry us a little bit. It's been fantastic for us.
Yeah, unbelievable athletes. We've seen, athlete is Lance Hurdle. We've seen glimpses of it, but Idris DeLeon, he's had the advantage because he was with the Gold Coast Blaze last season and a very good Gold Coast Blaze team. Can you explain to us a little bit about what's going on with that accent? Because sometimes he's a little hard to understand. And what's it like amongst the group?
I don't understand a word he says. I'll be completely honest. I can't understand anything. It takes me a few times. Even in the game yesterday afternoon, he'll be running down the court and he's calling some play. And I just went to clarify it. I said, you're running hand. And he goes, yeah, sure, we'll do that. So I think I changed what we were running just by trying to clarify. So in a huddle, when he wants me to, understand something, we kind of, go mixture of words and smoke signals and sign language and a bit of everything. Play some charades in the heat of the moment. But yeah, no, he fits in. He's a great character to, break up any seriousness within the group.
This is ticket off time, and we need to just get your views on some of the goings on around the competition. Last week, we saw a bit of a melee between the Melbourne Tigers and the Sydney Kings. There was also a little bit of argy-bargy going up on in Perth in the Perth game against the Adelaide 36ers. There were some fines handed out. We saw Ian Crosswhite, Lucas Walker, Ben Madgen and Seth Scott all whacked with $500 fines, and also over in the West we also saw some Brad Robbins got dished out a $500 fine. Is there much talk amongst the other group when something like that goes on amongst the other teams? Do you analyse and discuss some of those fines? And if you do, what would Judge Oscar have come up with?
Absolutely, we talk about it. It's the first thing we talk about. Did you see the game last night? This happened. Is there going to be repercussions? In terms of the fines, I guess from our point of view with the team, without going anywhere, that I'm going to get dished with a $500 fine as well.
Tap dancing going on.
We talk about a couple of those guys got fined for coming in to support a teammate, and obviously we've got our teammates back. So if you're going to get fined for helping out a teammate, our first thing is to obviously stop it. But you've got to have a teammates back at the end of the day. So hopefully that doesn't keep getting pinged. But I think, and the thing when we had a meeting with the refs last night before the game. Something I raised with them, I just said, make sure we take control of it early, because I think a lot of that is getting the retaliation guy. So I think the guy who does it first is usually getting away with it at the moment in the season.
Right.
And so I think if he's getting pinged, quickly, that sorts the rest of the game out, because usually you see the niggling goes on for about a quarter and a half, and then finally it'll boil over. So I think we can prevent it earlier on.
Now, also this season, the Melbourne Tigers and the Townsville Crocs not having either of them not going up through a real good period at the moment. The Crocs 0-10, I think they are, and also the Melbourne Tigers at 2-6. What's your view on those two teams? It's only 8-team competition. Any chance you think of those seeing playoff action? I think you can almost write up
anything can happen, but 0-10 is hard to bounce back from. Obviously, after the year we had last year, that's you empathise with the guys. Like 0-10 is tough, and every game it's just you're trying to do your best, and there is going to be a bit of in-team bickering, which you hope is a minimum. I know from speaking to Luke Shencher, he had the utmost respect for Paul Woolpert, and so I do hope nothing happens there, and that he does stay along, because he seems like he's a great coach. And you just hope that Townsville can get a win at home to start them rolling. It is hard to get that first win, and obviously with us, even at home, when we nearly dropped one to Sydney Kings in the first game, how would that have changed our season? We're 7-1 now. If we lost that first game, we lose all confidence, losing at home, especially to the Kings. So you hope that Townsville can get a win and sneak some teams, and hopefully they can just keep beating the top few teams below us. So give us a little bit of space up there. That'd be great, Townsville, if you're watching. Yeah, but obviously you want every year's a close year, and you want that to continue. So I think for those guys, it is a mental thing a lot of the time, and it is very hard just to break that losing streak.
And you guys, along with the Sydney Kings, have been the real surprise packet. I don't think anyone pre-season would have had you after 8 to 10 games inside the top four, so it's been a great performance. The Sydney Kings, just give us a little comment on them, because you've already played them a couple of times. And Shane Heal, the job that he's doing, getting Ben Madgen going and putting that group together, it's been extraordinary.
Yeah, it is. And Hammer's done a great job, especially with Madgen. Madgen, he's a hard worker. He always was, and he's a guy that he really wants to step up to the next level. He's a guy, before he left to college in Adelaide, I don't know whether he was going to have a career with the 36ers or not. And then since he went to college, he chose a slightly smaller school, and he really, he did, didn't he? He came out to be a straight-up scorer. I remember when he was younger, he just couldn't shoot the ball at all.
Well, he's a South Australian football, isn't he?
It's generally the country guys. South Australian country aren't great shooters, except maybe Jacob Holmes. No, so after he came back from college, he turned into a scorer, and now it's he's got obviously a fluoro green light. And he's using it to his best of his ability.
He is. Oscar, the 22nd of December, does that ring any sort of bells in your head?
It's the time I look at the schedule, hope Gordy's scheduled no training so I can get home for Christmas for an extra day or two.
Well, it's also the time of the NBL All-Star game. We've got the All-Star game, we've got the Slam Dunk contest, and we've got the three-point shooting competition. Now, I'd imagine that you'd be wanting to put your hand up to go in the three-point shooting contest.
Well, after last night, maybe I should put it for something else, because, based on last year's performance, maybe I should get a call in that way. But, it's one thing I've never really focused on a three-point shooting contest. I'm more of a game shooter, I'd like to say.
Right.
Mainly because I'm not a huge streak shooter without any pressure with anyone guarding me. But no, I'll have a dabble. I'll like to see if I can rattle off a few in a row and see what happens.
When you're at practice and you do your 5 in a row, you usually shoot them in lots of 25 or 50. What would you knock down out of 25? What's your pass mark for yourself?
I don't know, probably about a 15 or 16.
Right.
I did get lucky earlier this year with a 51 in a row. We did
51 threes in a row.
We did shoot till you miss threes, and I had a 17, a few 17, 14s and 16s, and then I broke out for a 51.
Wow, that's...
So if I can bring that rim over to Adelaide, I'm going to drive. I'll start on the 20th of December, drive the trailer and take that rim, because I think that was the key. Not
sure we can do that, but what about the feel amongst the players in general about the All-Star game? Is there a bit of a buzz going on about trying to get selected? Because the people out there, the good folk out there, can vote, and you are sort of still very much in the mix there. They're voting for the starters. Now, you're going to need probably a little bit of a push along if you're going to make the starters category, but are you looking forward to perhaps getting the nod?
Absolutely, I'd love to. I mean, it's Adelaide, so it's my hometown. I get to see family. I get to, I've never been in an All-Star game before, so it'd be exciting. Maybe my last chance to be in an All-Star game if, form drops off, I don't know. But, absolutely. I guess one of the things, after being a three-point shooter, I'd love to be in and have a crack at that.
Now, Oscar, we also encourage feedback from the fans, and in this ticket off section, We like to interact and we want them to join in the conversation. The best way to do it is by the NBL Facebook page. You Facebook man yourself?
Yep, absolutely. Like the Facebook page.
Jump on the NBL Facebook page.
Yeah, I asked the question too. I asked why you jinxed me before the game about my shooting, but that one didn't get written down. Anyway.
We'll just get into that in a little minute. But also, we love the good folk out there to interact with the players. On Twitter, I'm Andrew Gage 10. You are?
At Oscar Forman.
At Oscar Forman for all the goings on with the Wollongong Hawks. I'm not sure you can contain yourself to 140 characters though. It seems like you give a lot, which we like. This week we have a pack, an NBL prize pack coming up for the best question. We've got a couple of questions we're going to throw at here. We want you to get your feedback. And the first one comes from Jonty Wheelings. Is that how you'd roll with that? Williams. And it's, why is Wollongong playing so much better so far this year compared to last year? It's a valid question because you've really only changed your imports.
Yeah, and I think we've got a better fit this year with the imports. You know, I think we left the big guys untouched, which is
right.
We work very well. Larry, Gruber, myself, and Jacko can slide into that, and we work quite well. And we've had some unfortunate injuries to some of our guards, so bringing those 2 guard imports I thought was really good. And it hasn't really disrupted too much. We've got the core back, and everyone's a year older. Everyone's hopefully a year wiser and a year better. And so that's really paying dividends now.
I suppose if you're last year's imports, you'd be looking at what happened here and seeing no change as compared to last year. This year, you'd be going, geez, you might be looking at yourself. But there's a lot more to it than that,
Absolutely,
isn't there?
Absolutely. I mean, Gordy's always on about it. It's only what we bring individually.
Exactly.
The guy next year, what he brings. And so, last year a lot of us were down on performance, and this year we seem to have picked it up.
Well said. Another question comes from Mark Dad. Mark wants to know, when you started playing basketball, did you play in the local leagues and get picked up by an NBL team? What was your path, I think, is the crux of Mark's question, or how you found your way into the NBL? Because let's be honest, you've been with a few. You've been with Adelaide, New Zealand and Wollongong.
Yep. I started same as everyone else. I started in the junior leagues. Got a call from
South Australia?
In South Australia, yes, playing with the Sturt Sabres. Played with the AIS for a year. Had an offer to go to college, but Adelaide at the same time offered me to go there. I never really, growing up, thought about it as being a career. My mum and dad were always just play, have fun. I remember I nearly quit once because I just wanted my weekends free.
Jeez.
Should have been them pushing that so they could have their weekends free as parents. But and they support it. They said, look, if you want to quit, that's up to you. We think you could be good at basketball. And I stayed with it. And they supported me, and all the weekends and time they took me to different, the Melbourne Classic or Norwood Carnival, those kind of things. It's obviously worked out reasonably well, and I thank them for that. Well,
it's interesting you had that choice because a lot of the youngsters nowadays are choosing that college route in order to find their way into elite level of professional basketball. What college was interested in your good self?
Loyola Marymount.
Nice school.
And I was off.
Matty Knight
and Damien Martin.
Damien Martin went there.
They said the coach there, when they got recruited, didn't really like my name because, I kind of signed everything, the contract, the letter of intent, everything, and I broke it by signing with the Sixers, becoming professional and that. Yeah, so he had a few words for me that he wasn't happy, that coach. But I was in the off-season, I was in LA with my mate on holiday, and we're driving up and we're driving past, all the nice places, and I think, geez, what the hell is this place? This is unbelievable. Then I see LMU and I'm like, oh, that's where I was meant to go. It just looked very, very impressive.
No, it is a beautiful school and has a couple of Australians that have gone through the ranks there. So, well, there we have 2 questions. Which one did you like the most? You had Jonty Wheelings or Mark Dad? Just who's going to win the prize pack this week?
I think Mark Dad.
Mark Dad, you stay tuned because we're going to try and get in contact with you as soon as we can and send you out an NBL prize pack. Oscar, you have just been a sensation here today. It's fantastic to have you in the iiNet NBL It Goes Off Ticket Off studios, and you've done very, very well. But each week we like to pay thanks to those that support us and support you, and gives you the opportunity to play in this wonderful competition. It all starts with the naming rights sponsor of the NBL, and that is, of course,
iiNet.
Connect Better.
Channel 10.
And one.
Spalding.
This will get you.
ANPHA.
better known as Anfar, and
Virgin Australia.
and about to get you on a flight back to Wollongong so you can get back with your teammates. Good luck for the remainder of the season. A fantastic start, 7-1, just an extraordinary performance, and you've been a big part of that. So well done, and good luck for the remainder of the season. That's all we have time for this week in Ticket Off, but don't forget, stay tuned a little later in the week. We will have our pre-game show. Until next time, make sure you tune in next week to Oscar. This is the #1 podcast.
Worldwide, I hear.
No.
Even more? Universe?
Universe.
The galaxy. Yep.
And you know what it's called? It
goes
off!
I've been waiting to do that. Bye.